We're going to get started. I'm going to introduce myself quickly, and then I'm going to turn it over to the panelists because they have a lot more interesting things to say than I do. But my name is Mark Berman. I'm the Student Bar Association president, which is the Student Bar Association is essentially student government. And I'm a third-year law student. I'm graduating this year. And I'm going to speak to you guys more at lunch, so that's kind of all I'm going to say right now. But I'm going to turn it over to the panelists. They're going to introduce themselves, talk for a couple minutes about their experience at law school. It's so funny how, I just noticed looking out, we do the same thing. Whenever we have guest speakers, we always sit in the back of the class. And I just noticed that that's exactly what happened today. Thank you,
We applaud
Daniel,
you. Yes,
for
Daniel.
sitting in the second row.
Yeah. You'll get a special prize after this.
That's always me.
So, anyhow, they're all going to talk for a couple minutes about their experiences or why they chose USC Law or what they've been active in or whatever they want to talk about, the weather. And then I'm going to open it up to you guys for questions. And if you guys don't have questions, I'm going to have to ask really boring ones. So I hope that you all have questions. So without further ado, you want to start, Christopher?
Sure, I can start.
Perfect.
Okay, so as you can see, I'm a first-year student at the law school, and I'm really happy with my choice. I wanted to stay in Los Angeles. Actually, I'm a father, and I actually was an elementary school teacher here in Los Angeles. So I already have roots here. I wanted to stay, and I felt very welcomed when I first came to SC here. I went to the Lawyers and Judges Night that La Raza, which I'm a member of, hosts every year. And I think I recommend to all of you, if you end up coming here, definitely go to that event. It's a wonderful time to network with judges and lawyers. And so my experience this year has been great. I can tell you, studying is hard work, but it beats working. Okay, so enjoy it while you have it. Law school is certainly no walk in the park. I won't lie to you, the exams are very stressful, but the people here are wonderful to each other. People help each other. I had fellow students whose computers broke, and so all their notes were gone. People were giving them notes and giving them outlines. It's amazing. Although there's a lot of competition and there is a curve, people really don't take that personally, and I think that especially in your sections, we have 3 sections for each class, there's a lot of camaraderie and togetherness. So I can say that I feel like I've made a lot of good friends, and I'm really enjoying law school.
Cool. I'm Allie Parker. I will be in Mark's place next year as the SBA president. And I'm also involved with the Review of Law and Social Justice, which is a journal we have here, and I do a couple public interest clinics. And I actually chose to come all the way out here from Boston because, I don't know, it's pretty nice and it's like 40 degrees in Boston. But there's so many reasons to come here other than the weather. It's so small, which is great because I've never really been on a campus that was this small before. So from the moment I got here, I was like pushed into leadership activities, pushed into like all kinds of like clubs and organizations. And I can't stress the importance of that enough because when you're, going through the same thing as everybody else in your class and you're going through all this like academic, like all these rigorous academic activities, it's really helpful to have like a support system, to have like other outside activities to keep your perspective. Because my first year when I was going into like the Department of Social Services and talking to people who were homeless and helping them get their public assistance, it was really hard for me to, feel sorry for myself about my exams and everything. And just to talk about what Christopher said a little bit more, there really is, it's a very competitive school. There are a lot of very smart people here. But on the plus side, it's also a very supportive school. And I mean, the same thing happened in my class because I'm a second year. We had a kid whose car got broken into the night before one of our exams. And he wound up coming into the exam without his power cord or his notes, just being like, all right, well, this is going to be awesome. So someone had the same computer as him and, sat next to him and shared the power cord. And 4 or 5 people went over and gave him, like, their outlines, which is ridiculous in a law school where, it is quid pro quo, like, very, very competitive. So, I mean, I didn't give him my outline because it was probably pretty bad and useless. But, I mean, everybody else did. So this is really, a great competitive school, but there's a huge, huge positive, supportive environment here, which I think everybody benefits from. So, and the weather's really nice. The traffic's terrible. And that's all I can say.
Okay. I'm Sarah Clifton. I also am from the East Coast. I'm from Rhode Island. And I also came out here partially because of the weather, but no, that wasn't the main reason. I wanted to do something new, and I went to University of Connecticut for undergraduate. So I was ready to leave the East Coast for a little bit, check out some other stuff, see how it fit with me. And USC is like such a great school. I applied to tons of schools because I was paranoid of getting into law school because of what people told me. Don't listen to them. And I got into USC, and I was like, all right, that's where I'm going. My decision's made. So I was really excited to come here. Everything they're saying is true. The students are really supportive of each other. My parents, they're both involved in the legal community, and they told me horror stories about people tearing out pages and stuff, and all kinds of things like that. And so it was really different coming here and then being like, hey, look, all the pages are in the book, and people are telling me where to go even. Yeah. So that's really great. The alumni network here is incredible. The other schools that are maybe ranked better than us by like 2 points or something, they might not have the same alumni network as us. And I don't think they have the same kind of staff and support and faculty that we have here who really foster a great learning environment, and they really want everybody to succeed. And your teachers are always there for you, or professors are always there for you. If you have problems with things, you can go see them in office hours, you can talk to them after class, and they're always there to help you out. We have a really great career service office, so that really helps you with getting jobs and finding what you want to do. They have so many different materials and resources, and a lot of great staff working there to help you get the kind of job that you want to be working at. So I'm on this year's board of the Black Law Student Association, BALSA. So that's one thing I'm really involved in. And I also am involved in the Public Interest Law Foundation, which we call PILF. So you'll hear a lot about PILF, and if you didn't know what it was before, now you do, so you're not like, what's PILF? So that's really great too. Like Allie said, me and Allie actually do the same clinic, one of the same clinics, which is the General Relief Assistance Program, and we help homeless people get like their benefits and their food stamps. So it's really rewarding experience, and it was great too because you can collect clinic hours and get a grant. And this summer I'm going to be working at the Public Defender's Office again. I worked there last summer, the Los Angeles County, and I really loved it, so I'm going back, and maybe I'll be doing that in the future. So.
Great. I guess since Muriel, I'm not sure. Muriel's not here, I'll be the fourth kind of panelist and the moderator. But to give you guys just a little background on me, I grew up in the Bay Area. I went to undergrad on the East Coast. I went to Emory for a year, and then I transferred up to Georgetown. I worked for a couple years in between, and then I decided to come here. And I'm moving back up to the Bay Area after I graduate to work in a law firm in Silicon Valley. So not everybody who comes to SC decides to stay in LA. I've got a lot of friends who are either going back up to the Bay Area or going to New York or I don't think Boston, but Philadelphia and a couple other places. So with that, I'm going to open it up to you guys. Oh. Hey, just in time. And now I don't
fashionably late, but that's okay.
Yeah, she's always fashionably late.
As long as she's fashionable, she can be late.
So we're just kind of
just give you a little plug.
What you've done at school, and then we're going to open it up to questions.
Okay.
You ready?
Just tell us like where you're from.
It's just me now?
We all went already.
Yeah.
All three of us went.
Sorry about that. I'm Muriel Aubrey. Sorry I'm late. I was in the west side. I thought I could be back in 20 minutes.
Traffic.
Traffic. Lesson learned.
True. My second year, I'm from here in LA. I did my undergrad here at USC.
What have you been involved with? What? Yeah.
Balsa.
There we go.
Sorry about that. I worked at Public Counsel. I did the Children's Legal Issues Clinic. And maybe that's it.
Who's your favorite?
We'll let you catch your breath while we open it up to questions. Perfect. Go ahead.
I've noticed three criteria so far that have been advanced as to why we should choose USC. In order of importance, it seems like it's the warm community of the students, it's the alumni network, and it's the weather. Beyond those are the ones that I've really noticed coming back. Beyond those, holding those constant, what would you guys say were, for you in making your own choice to come to USC, things that you brought into your decision-making process that you might like to share with us, or things that you think that aren't encompassed by those 3 points that you'd like us to walk away knowing about?
Wow, that was a really good question.
That is a really good question. I think that when I decided to come to USC, I researched a little bit of the faculty, and there's an excellent faculty here. I want to get involved in public policy and politics at some point, and we have Professor Susan Estridge on our faculty, who's on Fox News all the time, so she's kind of a big deal. The Blue Streak, yeah, our Blue Streak column. We also have he was new the year I came in, or actually the year before, Professor Kareem Creighton, who's an expert on election law. And there are just so many excellent faculty members here, members of the ACLU, just all kinds of very distinguished faculty members. And the benefit of having such a small, warm community is that you really do get to know them. And, you know, I'm on a first-name basis with, I'd say, at least 20 to 30 faculty members right now. And that's just an excellent advantage because, I mean, these faculty members will help you through every step of getting your job. If you have, you know, questions 3 years into your job about, you know, laterally moving to a different job. So I mean, that's been my biggest kind of surprise and my biggest point of decision making, other than the weather, the warm community, and what was the third one? The network, the alumni network.
Yeah, I think the size, like Ali said, is really important. I know I went to public school for high school, I went to public school for college, and I was always super into public school. I was like, I don't need people having all that attention on me.
Yeah.
But for law school, yeah, you do need people having all that attention on you. And I think it's actually, I'm really happy that I ended up coming to a private law school because really right when you get here, like orientation in August, the people know your names. It's almost scary. I was telling the last panel, a really good tip is to be very polite to everybody on the phone because it's going to be awkward when you run into them at school and they know exactly who you are. I'm not saying that happened to me. I'm just saying, like, I didn't know. I was kind of like, I hope I was nice to them on the phone. So they really do get to know all the students. And, I mean, the faculty really is great, just like she said. And, I mean, I also think just the student body is so great. I mean, it's really diverse. And I think a lot of law schools really lose the diversity. I mean, in undergrad, people are more into having a diverse school, but I think a lot of law schools, you go to them and everybody looks exactly the same. And here, they have a commitment to diversity. And I don't even just mean diversity as in, you know, this person's black, this person's Latino. I mean, they also have just diverse kinds of people. Everybody's so different. We have this one thing called Student Connections, where every week they send out different information, but one of the things they send out are student profiles. And I read these sometimes, and I can't believe the amazing people I go to school with. It almost makes me feel inadequate because I'm like, why are they even in law school? They have this company they started, and they have like this engineering degree and all these things. And I'm like, if I had all that stuff, I don't think I'd be going to law school. I'd be enjoying my wonderful life I already made. So there really are so many amazing people here and so many people you can learn from and, you know, develop your own relationships with now because in the future, these are going to be your colleagues out there. And, you know, it's going to be great to be up against somebody else, and then your friend's the one interviewing you, and you're kind of like, hey. So.
You know, on a pragmatic level, people who get accepted to this school are also getting accepted to schools that don't quite have the same reputation, you know, second and third tier schools, and often with significant scholarships. So I know friends that weighed that question, and I think rightly decided that going to a school that gave them much better prospects for getting jobs more easily and getting jobs that were going to, in the end, let them go further in their careers, much earlier in their careers, that they made a good choice. I have friends who are going to very good schools, but not with the same reputation, again, as this school. Top 10, law review, can't get a summer job. It's, you know, this is the reality of the market today. So I'm very happy that I'm with a school where it was easy for me to get an externship this summer. Almost all the students I know already have plans this summer. And it's just, and the first thing that gets you in the door is they know if you're accepted to this school, you're a top student, no matter where you are in the class.
One thing I just wanted to add to that, kind of tying everything together, is another great thing about this school and about going to law school in Los Angeles is the diverse amount of adjunct faculty that we have. Practicing attorneys, judges, people who work in the public interest sector who come and teach classes on campus. And I've had some of my best classes have been from these adjunct faculty. I'm taking a class from a judge right now on remedies, and who would know more about remedies than a judge who hands them out? Or I took an environmental law class. I'm not really interested in practicing environmental law, but I was very interested in the topic. And it just so happened that it was taught by two partners in a firm that I'm now going to work for. It's, you get to know these people, and you get all the connections that come with that, and the different fields that they work in, and the stories that they can tell, and the advice that they can give. So I think, we've got, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but possibly 35 to 40 adjunct faculty, maybe more. Kyle might know better than I do. Maybe not. What's that?
A lot more than that. Maybe 30 to 40 persons.
At a time, that could be it. It's great. It's something that I didn't know anything about that coming into USC, and it's something that I've really enjoyed and taken advantage of my second and third year. Because first year you're going to have full-time faculty teaching you. So, good question though.
Yeah.
Anything?
Touche.
Can you talk about the power of the network, outside of Southern California? You mentioned the Bay Area, one of them. But how far does it go? In Northern California, New York, and DC, and so forth.
Do you guys want to go? Okay.
Well, the programs that the school has, the Career Service Office, is really great. They realize that everybody isn't planning on staying in Southern California. And we have, there's all sorts of online sites that we use to bid for certain jobs, certain employers, like for the big firms and the smaller firms. And we have this program called OCI, on-campus interviewing. But you could also just call it off-campus interviewing if you want, because they also will provide programs over the summer, so it's when you have time, when you're actually off from school. And you can go to the New York program, you could go to the DC program, and even those programs themselves, if you go to New York, it isn't necessarily all New York firms. It'll be New York and the New England area, so some Boston firms might come, I guess Connecticut, I don't know. And Washington, D.C., the same thing. They probably pull in some Virginia and Maryland people. I think the whole state of California, you're pretty much in good shape for the whole state. Just because we're not up north, of course there's Berkeley people up there, but a lot of people for the summer and things like that go to Northern California and San Diego also, and just different parts of California. So
Yeah.
I'd say for the West Coast, you're a lock, no problem.
Yeah.
It's just really that simple, from San Diego all the way up
Oregon.
to Portland, if you want to go up there, or Seattle, higher than Portland. Seattle. USC's got a phenomenal reputation, and you're going to get any job opportunity coming from USC than you would coming from that local market. I'd say we're improving drastically on our reputation nationwide, and it's kind of sad, but 4 of my best friends are all going back to New York after they graduate this year, and another good friend's going to Philadelphia, and kids I knew last year went to DC. Actually, another good friend's going to DC now that I think about it. It is sad. So, it's something that we don't have as big of a presence on the East Coast as East Coast schools do, but we're working really hard to increase our presence. And, I don't know if you guys have met the dean yet, but I have no doubt he will tell you, excuse me, the fact that part of the problem with coming to SC and students coming to SC from outside of LA is they get out here and spend 3 years here and decide they don't want to leave. And that doesn't help us when we try to increase our national reputation. But as more students do go to the East Coast, not so much the Midwest and not so much the South, but spread out from LA, that increases our pool.
I also want to say, too, that, some students go even international. I had a friend last summer who worked in Bulgaria and Romania.
Yeah.
And one of our friends this year is going to India. So, where there's a will, there's a way.
And that was very fortune cookie-esque.
Yeah, right.
But a kid on the last panel, Jason Anderson, who's a 2L, also mentioned that he went back to New York to interview at New York law firms and got offers from 3 of the top 4 vault range firms in New York. So you're not cut off from anything coming to SC. No. It's obviously depending on how you do in class, but you have any opportunity you want, pretty much. I really believe that.
What would you say is a typical day in the life of a law student in terms of coming to campus, how many hours you're in class, how many hours you're studying, how many hours you have to yourself, to go to the gym, to do whatever you want to do, like what time you're leaving campus to go home?
I think it depends on which year. Your first year, you're here a lot. I always made time for the gym. It was my only friend sometimes. But you're here a lot, and so that's why a lot of people live close, like in the Mid-Wilshire district, because you will be here a lot. But your second year, I was here never. I did a clinic part of the week, and I worked part of the week. So I don't know about anyone else, but first year a lot, second year not so much, I would say.
Yeah, my typical day probably isn't everybody else's, because I'm here at like 10 and I don't leave till like 10. But that's because I chose to be very involved in all the student activities, which I love. You know, I'm busy. I'm hanging out with people that are, like Sarah said, amazing people. Like, you find out the weirdest things about them every time you talk to them. So I don't mind being here as much as I do. But your first year, you definitely will be busy. It's to your advantage to live near campus. If you don't, it's not a big deal. Some people like living near the beaches, so they like can, you know, go surfing in the morning and then come in. But I think that your first year, you'll be here a lot, but the beauty of being at USC is this campus is amazing. And one of my big negative impressions about the law school here is that not enough people take advantage of all the resources we have. Because I go to like a beautiful Olympic-sized pool every day and swim for an hour. And I mean, where else could I do that in like 70-degree weather? It's awesome. And like we have a gym with TVs on the treadmills. Like I've never been to a gym that nice, and all of a sudden my university has it. And I mean, it's just a gorgeous place to walk around. There are a billion places to eat around here. So it is nice to be on campus. And you will be on campus a lot your first year. But your second year, there's so many different things you can do. You can work for a judge, you can work for a clinic like Muriel, you can work. So it really depends. If you get really involved, then you will be here a lot. But you can get involved in other places or through the school in other areas.
And like to answer like the average day question, I feel like, let's say it's Monday, you wake up, you shower up, you go to like civil procedure, you know, then you go to a lunch meeting or something, you know, they like give you free food and you
Like
listen
every
to
day?
some great organization speak about something that you may or may not want to be involved in. And then you go to, you know, contracts class or something, and you go hang out in the library for an hour before research class, and you go home and you do some homework, or you stay at the library and you do some work, and then you know, eat dinner, maybe watch an hour of TV or something, and or if me, maybe more, but, you know, and then, you know, you go to bed and you wake up and you do it again the next day, maybe different classes, but, I mean, that's, it's like any average old time.
Realistically, the amount of reading the first year is, I hear, since I'm still my first year, I don't really know, but I hear it is a little different. The first year, it is a little heavier.
Yep.
And my experience was that, I mean, I guess it depends on how fast you read and how efficient you are with your time. I was reading several hours after class every day for class, and then after that, you know, you learn to write papers and review. So there is a lot of time management that you have to really learn and kind of figure out how to best use your time, because there's so many things to do, and doesn't feel like there's enough time to do it. But you learn that. I mean, it's a process to figure out how closely do I have to read. What do they really want me to get out of these cases? So I can just look for those things, and I'm done. And then also with your papers. Honestly, the first year, figuring out how much time to use on the briefs you have to read, or the memos you have to write, and the trial briefs you have to write. That's the balancing act. But in the end, I mean, obviously we survived. You know, nobody I've heard died from sleep deprivation, so you get through it. It's and it's kind of it's a cool experience afterwards. You could talk about you went through your first year of hell.
I mean, the advice that I was given coming in was treat it as a 9 to 5. And some days I did, and some days I treated it as a lot less. Every so often, when I really slacked off, I'd have to work harder than that. But I mean, I think you can really manage it. Again, time management is so important. I mean, if you do your reading with, you know, Google Chat up, you're not going to read as fast or as well as you know, if you don't. But it's not. it's not impossible, and it's not. I don't even think it's as tough as you think it is coming in. You know, first semester is tough because it's totally unknown, and you don't really know if what you're doing is correct. But you figure it out as you go along. So.
You realize like everybody's in the same boat as you too.
Yeah.
So I know some people that I would talk to, like one else this year, and they'd be so stressed out, and they're telling me these things, and they think it's really unique and that they're the only ones, and I'm like, honey, that's how everybody feels, you know? And so if you're feeling stressed, like realize that other people feel that way. And I also just would say, you know, just keep it up and just do your best and just get to the end, because, you know, I had friends who I think they were so nervous about finals, and it was like, just take the finals and just see how you do, and don't like get discouraged and, you know, panic and drop out like a week before the end of the semester or anything. Just go through it, because you'll get through it and you'll be surprised that, wow, I actually did pretty good. So, you know, just keep it, just do it.
Yeah, and one more thing, I'm sorry, but one more thing, it's not the hardest thing in the world. I worked a 9 to 5 before I came here, and if I had treated it like a 9 to 5 instead of like an 11 to 8 or 12 to 9, you know, it would have been very easy. And I spent most of my lunches having lunch with my classmates. Every Thursday night I went to Bar Review, which is like the little social thing we do. And I mean, I had time for my friends. I had time for my outside activities. It really is time management, because nobody's, you know, going to crack the whip if you're not there at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I think that it really is manageable. It depends on what your what schedule you work out for yourself.
Other than the things you guys mentioned, is there anything else you can add to distinguish yourselves from UCLA? I mean, I'm sure you guys have friends that go there. So, yeah.
I think there's tons of things. I mean, I think personally for me, one thing is just the diversity here. I mean, I'm not trying to push that, but honestly, their school is becoming very, you know, homogenous, I believe is the proper word.
Correct.
And I prefer to be around different people. Like, I don't want to be around, like, you know, a bunch of Caucasian males from California, you know. I would like to like meet, that's fine, but you know, like I would like to like be around other people, because how are you going to learn if you're around all the same people? And I think that is like a really big thing. And also, like, I'm not trying to harp on the alumni network, but that too, I know people who go to UCLA and they're like, I wish our school did that. Oh, our school doesn't have anything like that. So I do think that we do have some benefits that, they're ranked higher, but that's not going to do you much good if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have anybody there to help you through it. So I think there's just a lot more just support, really. And I think there you're kind of more of a number. And here you're a person with a name, and you're not just like walking around with like a prison number on. And so
I mean, we're a lot smaller. While it's only 100 students per class, I mean, that's 50%. And I think that's a big difference. I mean, you really can get to know almost everybody in your class and even in the school here. And that's just, you know, while I don't know a ton about UCLA, I know that I've had an awesome time here because of that kind of atmosphere. And the fact that it just really is it's an incredibly friendly, kind of nurturing, I feel like I'm a Hallmark commercial.
I know.
But it's true. I mean, I've had a blast here, and one of the reasons that I chose SC in the first place is one of my best friends graduated from here in 2004, and he had fun in law school, and that was just a crazy concept to me. And you know, I think I can pretty much say that it's absolutely been that way for me and for a lot of my classmates as well. I mean, the other big thing I really think is the alumni network. Like, I live in Santa Monica, you know, UCLA territory, and I see far more SC bumper license plates than I do UCLA ones. And that might not always necessarily be the law school, but you come to SC, you love SC. I mean, I don't know if it's the football team or what, but you kind of drink the Kool-Aid the minute you step on campus and really, you know, have a lot of pride in where you went and want to see other people who went to your same school do well. And I think that's huge. So, yeah.
I know, right?
Reverse, which I don't understand at all. It's, you know, one of those weird things in life, but for some reason coming from Santa Monica to downtown in the morning is not that big of a problem. sometimes.
A lot of people live by the beaches and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, not necessarily first year. I think first year it really is better to be by campus, but a lot of people do live by the beaches. And I mean, I knew people first year who would commute from Orange County. So, I mean, people go from all over the place. So.
Awesome.
I live in North Hollywood, and I take the train and the shuttle. I study on the train and the shuttle. I don't have to drive. There's no stress. I'm married and I have a son, so I have other things where I balance to where I live.
Yeah.
Other stresses.
Yeah, but I feel like actually it works pretty good for me. I mean, I don't even have to think. I just like get on the train and stops and I get off. So it works fine for me.
Mm-hmm. And you learn the traffic patterns. I mean, there are times, like I took an 8 a.m. course. I actually chose to take an 8 a.m. course. It was odd. There was that environmental law course I was talking about. But I'd leave Santa Monica at 6:30 to get here at 7, as opposed to leaving at 7 and getting here at 8. I mean, because there are, some times when it's really bad traffic. And so you just, you realize that and you get up a little earlier to, more time management. But it's not that bad.
I think in other places you establish what is rush hour. Out here, you need to establish what is not rush hour. So that's a good tip.
Exactly.
So.
I have a question for Christopher. How difficult is it to have a family and to go to law school at the same time? Are there a lot of other students who, cause, I don't currently have children, but I plan to while I'm a law student. So.
Yeah, good question. There aren't, well, okay, first off I'll say that as a person who has a family, I think that it does give me a reality check every so often that like I have to take care of my son, he's got asthma. School has its place and it's important to me and I dedicate a lot of my time to it. But I think having a family in and of itself is a good way to kind of put it in perspective at the same time. I feel like the school, other students are, the average age of the student here is 22. The average age of most law school students at most schools is about that. So the reality
Coming
is...
in.
What, I'm sorry?
Coming in.
Yeah, coming in, of course. So most of the students are younger. However, I have many classmates that are in their 30s, several that are a couple months different from my age, my advanced age. And so other people can, certainly there are plenty of people at this school that can relate to my life experience, not so many necessarily that have children per se, but who are married and have had a career. And that really is very comforting to me that there are people who can relate to easily to my life experience. But as far as support goes, there are a lot of different organizations, a lot of different ways for you to get connected. So I felt like the way that I personally got connected was through certain organizations or interests that I had. And so there's all different kinds of ways you can relate to people and make friends and get support.
I want to say, I'm sorry.
Is there any daycare or anything?
If there is any, let me know. I don't know.
Well, I know from the English department they complain about it.
I'm not aware of any daycare program per se.
But I wanted to say, though, I know a lot of people in my class and in other classes who are married, who have children. One of my friends is in her 30s. She has 2 kids who are, like, not babies. And I actually think a lot of my friends who have families are actually better students almost because, like, they have to keep themselves in order. They know it's important. And they know that they have other things that they have to do, so they have to get their schoolwork done so that they can tend to the baby or whoever when they get home. So I think in a lot of ways they're more mature and they're actually better students, and there are other people. And sometimes you'll see somebody in the cafe, their wife is down there with the baby, in the morning or something. I mean, they're not disturbing classes or anything, but we're plenty welcome to it. And I also know that the school has sometimes has days that they have that you bring your family to school day, and it's really nice. So they'll have a lunch for the families, and you can bring your kids in, you can bring your husband or wife. So there are a lot of people, we're all in different places in our lives, so there are others.
Well, that's also the beauty of having such a small school is that, I mean, in your smaller section, you will get to know, like, 5 or 6 people that are married with children or without children. But then, I mean, it's such a small class that you'll be able to meet those people very quickly. You don't have to search them out or anything like that. So
I had 2 classmates who had children this past year, and then another whose wife just recently got pregnant, and they're expecting in September. So, I mean, it definitely... you wouldn't be the only one if that ends up being the case. And I wasn't aware. The average incoming age is 22?
I believe so.
Is it really?
22-ish.
Because I know a lot of students, I mean, I took 3 years off in between undergrad and law, and a bunch of my classmates were in their 30s, and so it's, yeah, we do have a lot of students who come straight in from undergrad, but there's a pretty big range. So.
It's that one child genius that's screwing the numbers
up. Yeah, we have an 18-year-old who's messing up
messing up the ratio.
Is he 19 now? Maybe?
19 now.
Is he 19 now?
Yeah.
Really nice kid, by the way.
Now.
Yeah.
We love him. Stop it, Mark. You guys don't make fun of him. He's such a nice guy.
He is a nice guy.
He's awesome.
I spent a week with him in New Orleans.
All right.
Yeah, but whatever.
Next question.
Next question. Don't
Any
give
other
me no
questions?
next time you're doing the bath.
Yeah.
How does USC rank the students, and then how does that then affect, grade-wise, and then how does that affect what interviews you're allowed to go on, what the employers look for?
Well, Dean Reed had just mentioned in the last panel that we only rank the top 10%, and I don't think they do names. It's not going to say you're number 25, but what they do is they put up the GPA, and it'll say anybody above, a 3.6 or something, 3.5, whatever, is in the top 10% of the class. So if you know your GPA, you go and you look at that, and you'll know if you're above that. And then you don't know otherwise, but you can kind of guess if you're right below that GPA, then you're probably in maybe the top 20% or something. So.
And then in terms of interviewing, it's a lottery system in terms of what employers you get hooked up with. So, the employer will have a recommended minimum GPA for what they're looking for. Don't always follow it because they don't always follow it. And then you rank which employers you're interested in, and the Career Services Office has some funny algorithm, and you get your interviews.
Yeah.
I think how it goes. And then if you don't get an interview with an employer that you want, drop by. It's not difficult to interview with whoever you want to, for the most part. That was my experience.
The beauty of the lottery system is that, if you have other strengths other than your grades, because I'm involved in a lot of student activities and I don't have the best grades in my class. I actually have very average grades, and I was below every single minimum GPA that they asked, but I still went on a bunch of interviews and I wound up getting a job, because I think that the beauty of SC is that there's so many ways to get involved if you don't necessarily excel in the academic realm. We're all smart people here, and I think that that's kind of a moot point, but there are so many other ways to prove yourself and to excel and to develop clinical skills through the clinics here and the public interest clinics. There are so many ways to develop your skills other than, proving yourself academically, that even if you don't do as well as the firm supposedly requests, you can still find a job, and it's not going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I'd say definitely when it comes to things like OCI and ranking, maybe I shouldn't be telling people this, but I don't pay attention to any of those requirements. If they give you 40 possible things you can bid on, possible firms you can bid on, I just use all 40 of them. And if I don't meet their standards, then they can just tell me that they don't want to have me come in, because you never know what's going to happen. They might say, oh, I only want the top 15%, and maybe you're like top 18%, and you just go to the interview anyway, but the person might love you.
Yeah.
You guys might both love to fly kites or something, and that might make him be like, oh, I love this girl, she's got to come to our firm.
Yeah.
So I would say don't be discouraged, and especially in your first year, you don't even know what your ranking is. So what I like to do is just pretend like I don't know, I could be like the best student in my class, and you just go with that and just be positive and just go ahead and bid.
Is there a question over here? Yep.
You said you live in Santa Monica and you live in North Hollywood. I know people here at USC kind of live all over LA. Do you feel like there's still a community, like on the weekends outside of school? Because I know some of the people that go to grad school here, and they kind of live all over, and it's sometimes hard to get together on like the weekends. And do you feel like there's a community, and do you see people on the weekends outside of class or off campus, I guess is the...
Yeah, because of so many events and stuff that we have at the school, honestly, law school will almost become your life. You can choose to ignore everything and not go to anything if you want to, but most people, we're going to things all the time. But being a member of BALSA, we have weekend events all the time. One of the professors is really generous. He allows us to come to his house. He has this amazing house that's been in music videos, and he lets us go there and have like cookouts and stuff at his house. So on a Saturday, we'll all get together and we'll carpool and we'll go over there and enjoy that. And like Ali said, Thursday nights we have, the Bar View, which is a social program, and we all go out on Thursday nights. And so there's a lot of opportunities to see people. And I mean, even the fact that, like you said, he lives in Santa Monica, she lives in Hollywood, I live downtown. But there's a ton of people who live in Santa Monica, a ton of people who live downtown.
Yeah.
So even if you don't see everybody, you'll at least see the people who live near you, and then, you guys can hop in a car and drive to your other friends. So it's really, about what you want to do and if you want to see people. But I mean, we are all spread out, but we see each other all the time.
Yeah.
I think the students who live in Terrace, the
on-campus housing.
the on-campus housing, that's like a colony, It's
Yeah.
like a
Yeah,
little
I lived
world.
there last year.
So if you live there, then you have all the people you want to hang out with all weekend forever. But if you live off campus, I still got together with my friends on the weekends, but it would often be study things, and sometimes it's social things, and with a little bit of studying, and you figure out the balance that you like. And if people go and do fun things all the time. People took a trip to Vegas, I remember, at the beginning of the semester to celebrate. Woohoo,
Yeah.
So so there's definitely avenues and there's ways to spend weekends with people. You just have to, I think, look for those opportunities.
And I mean, one of the first things you'll find, if you choose to, is at the very beginning of the year, we have tailgates before the football games, before the home football games. And even if you don't have tickets, you come, you grill out, you have a couple beers on Saturday, and then you watch the game in the cafeteria and the big TV we have down there. So that's kind of right off the bat. That's a great way for everybody to get together and relax a little bit on the weekends. And then, exactly as was said, I've got tons of friends who live on the west side, whether it be Santa Monica, Manhattan Beach, Hermosa, to hang out with. I also have a ton of friends who live in the kind of Hollywood area. So I see them too often, I'd say. But also because we live all over the place. When we come to school, let's say I've got a class, as I do this year, I've got a class, one I don't go to, and then another one from 1:20 to 2:20, and then class from 6:10 to 7:25. Well, I hang out for the 4 hours in between then, and sometimes I'm actually getting work done, and more often I'm just hanging out. So I don't recommend that first year. First year, go to the library and get work done. But second year and third year, when you're not stressing things out quite as much, there's a lot of hanging out time. And sometimes traffic is a pain to get from like Santa Monica to North Hollywood, let's say, or something like that. But that doesn't stop you if somebody's having a fun event. That doesn't stop you from going out. So there's still plenty of opportunity to hang out with friends.
There's also, I'm sorry.
I live in Santa Monica right now, so I was just asking. I've been thinking about if I need to move, so I was just asking.
Yeah,
Just call Berman every weekend. He's never got us anything to do.
Exactly.
You guys can be best friends.
I lived in Santa Monica before I started law school also, and decided to stay there because I liked my apartment, and I had a group of friends out there. I also had some non-law school friends out there, which are a nice release every so often. And, the commute, while you're going to save more time living closer to campus, and, that might be a better idea, but living in Santa Monica isn't a deal breaker. I did just fine. You learn the traffic patterns and you adapt to them, but it's not so bad. And as somebody said last time, that time sitting in the car can be either just zoning out listening to music or catching up with friends on the phone, just so long as you actually get to work when you get back home.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Tailgates are really fun, and they also have certain things, like there's a ski trip that they do every year. One of the organizations puts on a ski trip every January. A lot of people for spring break will do alternative spring break and go to like New Orleans, and you get to do good things, but you're also there with all your friends. So there's all sorts of things. And I did live in Terrace last year, and it's really great. You get to meet a lot of people. You can carpool, so there's nothing wrong with Terrace.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I think we have to end.
Soon. Do we have any more questions? We got time, or we don't have time for more questions? Oh, did they really? I guess never mind. We're done. But we're going to be at lunch. Oh, and these aren't. Right, here, I'll write my email. I just said it. You don't want to
write mine too. And if you guys have any questions, please talk to any of us. Except for Sarah. She's got a ridiculous accent after a couple
Allie has
months.
a bad accent. I want everybody to know she fakes it, and if you get her stressed out enough, the Boston will come out.
I do not have a Boston accent.